Hello, 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 everybody. I'm Dr. Franco Taylor, and welcome to another edition of The Right Stuff Helps. We'd like to come to you every week this time on WIAN Radio Broadcast Network. That's what's in a name. Why right stuff helps? Simply because most of us have done what? We've looked at the wrong stuff, we've listened to the wrong stuff, ate the wrong stuff, drank the wrong stuff most of our lives. Isn't it about time that you got your hands on the right stuff? That's why we're here for you, to make sure that we work with your emotional, your spiritual, your economical, physical, and economic well-being by making sure that we bring you the right stuff. And today, I'm going to do just as good as we've always done. We're bringing you up spectacular, revolutionary gentlemen to talk to us about the biggest thing going on in the world today, and that is the pandemic. That's the COVID-19. That's the coronavirus. Dr. Lane Rowland, are you there, sir?
Yes. How's everybody doing? Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I hope all the listeners get ready to sit down and get in your seats and have some sweet tea, because I'm going to talk to you guys about COVID-19 and all the questions you need to ask me, Dr. Taylor. I'm available for you.
All right. I appreciate you being here. I mean, I'm really humbled by you being here, because the more I looked at you, the more I found out that you're the baddest boy on the planet. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But before we talk to you, I want to talk to them a little bit so they'll know just who it is that's sitting before them. We're talking about a gentleman that has a Bachelor of Science degree in microbiology and chemistry with a minor in military sciences from Weber State University. He has a Master's of Science degree in cellular and molecular biology from the University of Nevada, Reno School of Medicine. Doctor of Podiatric Medicine degree from the California College of Podiatric Medicine and Surgery, a medical doctor degree from the University of Health Science in Antigua. Man, I'm running out of breath. He also, in June 2004, Dr. Lane Rowland began Tropical Pathology and Infectious Disease Association, TM. I think it's pronounced T-PATA, if I'm pretty close to saying it right.
Got it correct, Doc.
Well, I tell you what, with accolades like that, I'm saying, how could this brother accumulate all that? And I'm not even getting started, folks. We'll have to take breaks to get the rest of it in, but I just wanted to ask you a question so that I might know, and so that the people in the listening and viewing audience might know. I know you're all over there in the jungles. I know you're working with people with limited equipment, in some cases sweltering heat, no air conditioning, and lack of little or no water from time to time. And you've been doing this for a good little while. My question to you, Dr. Rowling, is simply this. What keeps you motivated and dedicated to helping those devastated by infectious and contagious disease? What keeps you? How do you keep doing this?
I think when God made me, He gave me a conscience to carry other people's crosses. And I've been doing that for many, many years. That's why it motivates me to be able to see a child that has a handicap and I'm able to fix it because, I'm a trauma surgeon, or I have kids in the jungles that are dying from dengue and epidemics and malaria and chikungunya and Zika. And I've seen the devastation. I've seen kids with parasitic worms in their stomach and worms come out of their eyeballs. I've seen that. I've seen people bit by snakes and be, paralyzed, 8-year-old girls and stuff. So I've seen it all. And so it's my compassion to always help the fellow man. And I think it goes back, Dr. Taylor, when I was like 14 years old. I was living in Germany, and there was a kid named Alan Ziegler, tall, white kid, kind of goofy. 8 years, we're in eighth grade, we're goofy. Yeah. And I remember coming out of the school, and these white kids were throwing rocks at him. I mean, throwing rocks at this kid. He's screaming, and they were throwing rocks at him. And the girls were throwing rocks at him. You know what I did, Dr. Taylor? I went and beat every one of them people's ass.
Did you?
And I hate bullies. And I think diseases to me is a bully. And my responsibility is to knock bullies on their butts. And that's diseases, Ebola, and all the experiences I had. So this is my driving compassion to help fellow man, because that's what life's all about, giving yourself to serve people.
Wow. What I hear you saying is, I am my brother's keeper. I kind of wanted to hear that from you, because I really wanted to make sure that everything that I'm thinking about you is exactly what it is. And I hope the folks out there in the listening and viewing audience heard it too. Love that compassion for your fellow man. Now, Corona, COVID-19. What is a virus? What is this virus? I mean, Italy is saying that it's not even a virus; it's a bacteria. After they lost all them tens of thousands, I mean, all of a sudden it's a bacteria. All you need is some acetaminophen or some aspirin, and you can get rid of it. All that kind of. Talk to us. What is this thing? What is it?
Well, you take some aspirin, you're gonna be in a body bag, and we'll be zipping you up. Do you want me to give you the Dr. Rowland version, or do you want me to give you the Mickey Mouse version, Dr. Taylor?
We want the straight up Dr. Rowland's version.
Well, and I'm a pathogenic virologist. I teach pathogenic virology at the Hydropathic Institute in Germany. I'm the only African American professor there, and that institution was started in 1948. Germans, they developed a polio vaccine there, and I'm a professor there. So let me tell you the truth about viruses. With my experience in biological warfare, well, I'm certified. I'm only 1% of the people on the planet that has a top secret clearance. So I know diseases. Let me tell you, Dr. Taylor, this virus, we define in science, we define things as bacteria. We define things as protozoan. We define things as eukaryotic. Well, virus is the oldest entity, living organism on the planet. A virus is really not a living organism. It is an obligate intracellular parasite. A virus has to attach to a cell, get inside the cell, and it hijacks the cell to be able to reproduce. We have two types of viruses, or what we call viruses. We have DNA virus and we have RNA virus. Well, the coronavirus is the largest RNA positive sense virus on the planet with a whole lot of mutagenic capabilities. This virus, and I don't believe in conspiracy theories, because when we put you in a body bag and you're a footnote, there's no conspiracy theory in it.
That's right.
This virus came from a bat, and that bat jumped into man. And all viruses, especially pandemic viruses, influenza 1918, the bubonic plague, et cetera, always comes from an animal vector. And the animal vector could be a pig, a duck, monkey, snakes. You can talk civets. We can talk about bats, etc. And so this particular virus the vector is the bat. And people do not realize that bats carry over 1,000 RNA viruses, and bats have been here since the dinosaur days. So the virus and the bat have co-evolved for millions of years, almost 50 million years. And this coronavirus has been around for about 50 million years. We can do the phylogenetics on it. And what happened was that this coronavirus and the bat, they love each other. And so that virus did not start in Wuhan. That's where people make their mistakes. It started in two other cities in China. But we just call it the Chinese virus. And so what happened was that bat was infected, got to Wuhan, and somebody went to the wet market. And in my program in tropical medicine and infectious diseases, our program, we take students to the wet market. That's part of our program. We spend a day in the wet market taking samples, water samples, cholera, samples from the animals. And we take it to the laboratory because I want to show people what these animal diseases they have. We take feces, urine. We see viruses, all types of diseases. And so for poor countries, this is where poor people get their protein from. They can't afford the nice stuff. So what they do is they go to the jungles, they catch monkeys, and they breed 1,000 monkeys. They go and catch bats, and they breed 1,000 bats. They breed 1,000 wild pigs, and all these animals are mixed in the wet market. The bat is coughing, the bat is pooping, the pig is pooping, the duck is eating the pig poop. All this mixture of viruses, secretions. And so that individual in China, they like eating bats. They like drinking bat blood. They eat bat heads. They eat the bat wing because they have this thing. And that virus was probably not cooked very well. The bat wasn't. That virus jumped into an individual, and there you wildfire, patient zero. And that virus, we looked at the phylogenetics of that virus in Germany, and that virus came from a bat. We can look at it. I can tell you if it was modified, it was genetic engineered, because that's what I did for the military. I was in biological warfare. So we can look at the genetic pattern. It came straight from a bat into the man. And our audience need to understand there's three words: spillage, spillover, or accident or host. when a virus jumps from a vector into a man. Ebola, bat into man. Marburg, bat. HIV from monkey to man. And we know this. And then what usually happens, Dr. Taylor, when we know a pandemic's coming, I look at the newspaper every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, all over the world. This is part of my education as a infectious disease surveillance intelligence officer. I need to look what's happening in Africa. They got Ebola. Is there malaria epidemics in Peru? What's happening in Asia? Because I know if the monkeys are dying, if the cows are dying, if the ducks are dying, animals die off. We know there's a virus about to jump into man. So there's probably a die off of bats in China, and you knew the virus is about to jump, and that's what happens. And the virus gets into us, and this coronavirus is not new. They call it novel coronavirus, but this COVID-19 came out in 1960 in 2 patients. This is an emerging virus, but the coronavirus has been around for thousands of years. We just have the technology to see it now through electron microscopy, fluorescence, and all that stuff. And we know for a fact that this coronavirus came from a bat, and this is the most lethal pathogenic organism on the planet today. This is more infectious than Ebola. This is more infectious than HIV. This is more infectious than influenza. It is up there, and it is a brilliant mutagenic pathogen. And guess what, Dr. Taylor? It is 40 strains now, not one. It is 40 different strains circulating the planet, and we have the mutation is in a gene called D614G. The most important gene in the virus allows that virus to attach to the cell. And this gene has made the virus much more better attachment. Eyeballs, testicles, gastrointestinal tract, kidney cells, heart, pulmonary, throat, nose, eyes, heart. Whew. It's awesome.
Wow.
And 25% of the infections comes from, guess what? Feces. It's transmitted through feces. And the virus lives in the feces for 35 days. And the other 70% of the infection is through your lungs, respiratory. And then we believe what's going to happen, we already found it in the semen. This is going to be sexually transmitted also,
Wow.
like Zika.
Wow. I tell you what, you're so full of information. You answered 2 of my other questions. I mean, that's some deep stuff. So we're talking about, if I hear you right, this parasite is an evolving thing that no matter what we get ready to hit it with, it's evolving and getting stronger and better, so it's not bothered by it.
No, at all. And this is the evolution. This is Darwinism, survival of the fittest. This organism is evolving because it wants to live. Ebola, when we talk about viruses and pathogen, Dr. Taylor and your audience, when you know people know their viruses and infectious diseases like I do, if somebody gets into you and says, I'm an expert, what you always need to say is that, what's the R0 number? What is the reproductive number of this particular organism? And what does that mean? That tells you how infectious an organism is. The most infectious organism on the planet is measles, has an R0 number. Ebola has an R0 number 1. Influenza has an R0 number 1.5. AIDS, HIV is about 3 to 4. And guess what coronavirus is now? 5.7 up to 10, depending on what the density is. So what does that mean to our audience? One person has measles, they can infect 12 people. One person has Ebola. Ebola is not very efficient. It's one-on-one. It's blood to blood. Measles is respiratory. Influenza is 1.5 respiratory for every one person, 1.5 people infected. Guess what? With coronavirus, when somebody's infected, they go to these bars, they're on the beach, everybody's laughing. That one person can infect almost 6 people. And if you're in a nursing home, that R0 number goes up to a 10.
Wow. So what you're simply saying to us is that they were saying, well, you might have loss of smell or, whatever. But you're saying it can be anywhere. It can come in through the testes. It can come in through the nostrils, through the mouth, through the semen. I mean, wow. Any kind of way.
It's a multi-capable organism. You get the disease, you're going to lose your smell because it's in your nose. You lose your taste. The virus is in your taste cells, your blood cells. It goes to your eyeballs. People get conjunctivitis. You get pulmonary. You get shortness of breath and pneumonia, bacterial, viral, and also inflammation. You get problems with your heart. You get you get diarrhea. That makes sense. 25% of transmission is through feces. Incredible. Kidneys, you're peeing it out. It's in your liver.
Wow.
In your vessels, in your legs, it gives you clots. People are dying from, strokes. They're dying from heart attacks. And now we have the new pediatric syndrome, which is killing our children. In the state of Louisiana, it had over 400 kids that were positive with what we call Kawasaki syndrome, or what we call pediatric multi-inflammatory systemic. These kids are dying from heart attacks at 9 years old, 7 years old, 12 years old. I mean, this is a Cadillac of pathogens, and it's changing the world, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It is all the time. Wintertime, spring, fall, everything. And if you want to take that to example, we can look what's happening in Peru right now. The country is devastated. Brazil is devastated. I'm talking 700,000 people affected in one city. I've lost in the last 4 days 18 of my doctor's friends I worked with for 20 years. One died this morning. I have their names. You see them on my Facebook. These guys are dead. These are infectious disease guys, heart surgeons, cardiologists, gone.
Wow.
They can die from this disease. You can die from this disease too.
It's no joke. It's no joke. Okay, well, you've answered a couple of my questions in advance. That's great, though. So I was going to ask, why is this virus so widespread, so devastating? And you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, because it has so many ways that it can attach itself to the human cell.
Yes, in the two major transmission, one is respiratory, probably 65%. Eyes, somebody could cough. When somebody cough and talk, when people talk and they're infected with COVID-19, this virus stays in the air for 14 minutes. Just talking to somebody. And so you can imagine you walk through that virus can go through your eyeballs. You breathe it in your nose, it goes to your mouth. The other point, which is huge, is feces, 25%. And people are nasty. People don't wipe themselves very good. You go to the bathroom, they touch the door handle, you touch the door handle. You go into a public bathroom, people flush the toilet. That's when you flush that toilet, it becomes aerosolized. It's on the floor, it's on the door handle, all through the bathroom. It's on the bottom of your shoes.
Wow.
Yeah, so you got somebody at your house that's infected with COVID-19, they use the bathroom, you can get infected. Great transmission. That's one of the ways you can get transmitted. In my world of a pathology and infectious disease, we have a thing we call the 5 F's, Dr. Taylor. How do you get infections? 5 F's: finger, foods, flies, formite, and fingers. That's the 5 things you can get. Feces, flies. The fly can land on the feces, land on your drink, and you can get COVID-19.
Wow,
pretty smart.
That's deep. That virus has got a head of its own, huh? Well, I tell you what, folks, we're gonna skip commercials on this particular program because we don't want to miss any of what this powerful man has to say to us. But I'd like to just do for our commercial the fact that Dr. Rolling has completed the following advanced surgery courses: tendon repair surgical skill course, principles of surgical reconstruction course, the ankle and foot reconstructive course, the ankle and foot trauma reconstructive course, postgraduate course in medical and surgical techniques of the foot, ankle, leg, and course, diabetic foot management course, advanced internal fixation course, the operative treatment of fractures and non-unions, theoretical basis and practical principles course, arthroscopic surgery of the foot and ankle course, basic and advanced arthroscopic course, and the master surgeon foot course. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how old you really are, brother, to have taken all this stuff into consideration and to learn so much. But here's my question to you. Social distancing. You go to the store, they got lines on the floor, 6 feet inside the store, outside the store, they got people lined up 6 feet. Question, social distancing, pros, cons. Is this necessary?
Dr. Taylor, just keep it real. That virus doesn't do 6 feet. That virus can go 32 feet. That virus can go 52 feet. It could go a half a mile. You can be at a store at Walmart and that virus gets sucked up into the air conditioner vent. Everybody in that store is infected. That's what's happening with the nursing homes, cruise ships, airplanes. So that's 6 feet of distancing. I'm going to give you all the political correct term, the Mickey Mouse, so y'all can feel good. But I'm looking at you guys, laughing at you guys because you're all infected. It doesn't work. It's impossible.
Okay.
Because you can cough. When you cough or you sneeze, the virus comes out of your mouth at 200 miles per hour when a person sneezes. And that's 40,000 droplets. And that bad boy gets into the wind current, and you can affect other people 3-4 tables down. It gets sucked up into the air conditioner vent. Everybody's infected. It's on the bottom of your shoes.
Wow.
You drive, you walk, and that wind current will kick that virus up into the air.
Wow.
So that's why it's important when people are out there in the real world, you're going to McDonald's or you're going to Walmart, you better wear a mask.
Okay.
Because that will cut down your time of getting infected to 50 to 75% of the people that wear masks. The mask protects people. It's a barrier between the internal and external environment. So mask is a mandatory. You look at these fools in Wisconsin, they open up the thing and they're in the bars, talking to each other, laughing, giving each other high fives, touching the money. They got feces on the money, the credit cards. Nurses in there telling me I'm not socializing. Talk to them in 6 weeks. They're going to be in body bags.
Wow.
They won't be laughing then.
That is something. We're talking about a virus that can outrun a race car. How you get away from it? You got to protect yourself. Well, let me ask you this then. We're going to ask about the mask. People wearing masks, how many times can you put on the same mask? I guess is a question.
If you're talking about a surgical mask or an N95, that thing, the N95 can have multiple uses. We use them. I use N95s when I'm dealing with patients with tuberculosis. I'm talking multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. I've had friends of mine die from tuberculosis exposure. We wear the mask, N95. That can go maybe 2 days. A mask that you get, the little cheap surgical mask, you got to get rid of them. If you got a scarf or whatever you're wearing, that you need to wash that every day. Don't put the same mask on, the ones that are washable, like these scarves, these bandanas, because that virus can be inside that, on the outside of that mask that you trap because you were around with somebody. You touch that, you can get infected. So you need to make sure you wash that mask. And then one of the things, we'll talk more about it, but never wear your shoes in the house.
Right.
Because the shoes attract coronavirus into the house. So it's important for people to take their shoes out before they get in the house, especially in a high density population. Right. You go to Walmart, you better take your shoes off.
Okay, now you just said something just popped in my head. Dr. Rowland, what about the pets that go in the house? They don't take off their shoes. They don't clean their butts. They don't, wow. What about the pets?
I've talked about this in other programs. With shoes is one of them, but also the fact that when you have your dogs, you need to disinfect your dog's feet because they go outside, they take a dump, and dogs can transmit coronavirus into your house. Any animal can. So if you take your dog for a walk and they're pooping out in a public place and stuff, they come in, you need to disinfect their feet. Wow. Period. That's just what it is. And trust me, the first dog that died from coronavirus is the Chinese dog. He got coronavirus and that dog died 14 days later. So coronavirus is not just found in bats, it's found in cows, ducks, horses, pigs, cats, birds, waterfowls, and pigs, it gives them a massive diarrhea. So, and dogs too. So you have to be careful in this day and age in our pandemic.
All right. So we need to take special concern about our pets. Now, question. Testing. They've got contact tracing, so forth. Testing. What kind of testing should we be doing and how often?
Well, this is probably the biggest thing where number 45 is wash his hands of it because the testing is absolutely awful. As a country of 360 million people, we only tested maybe maybe 2 million people. Some states, maybe 500 people. We don't have testing, and contact tracing is the essence of controlling a pandemic, because you have to know how many people are infected in that area. For example, if I know that in the city of Atlanta that 90% of the people are infected, and as we start, programs to mitigate, that gives us a picture of how extensive the infection is. In fact, I want people to understand that this pandemic, and I'm going to talk about pandemic back to your question, this pandemic is going to go on for another 3 or 4 years. People do not realize that the 1918 pandemic that went from 1918 to 1920, no, folks, it started in Europe in 1917. It went from 1917 to 1920. It really got kicked off in China in 1916, and it first jumped off in 1912. And we can look at genetics. So pandemics are not 2 years. Pandemics are up to 3-4 years. And this is just, we're still in the first wave of the pandemic. When we define pandemics, we have an initial wave where they do the quarantine. What is the correct word? Not social distancing. We're quarantining each other. That's the political correct word. Then you have the first phase, 25% of the people are infected. Then they let everybody out the house on the second phase. Then another 50% of the people. So what you've seen right now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Give it 6 more weeks. You thought people are dying now. You ain't seen nothing until the second wave comes. That's going to be massive. And then you have a little baby bump at the end when the pandemic is over, another 25% of the people. But a lot of people don't understand in our world of infectious diseases, how do we know the pandemic is going to end? It ends because what we do is we take samples of the sewage. We go take samples of the sewage in the area, the city, and we test and we can see if COVID-19 is in the sewage. We do it in Pakistan with polio. Polio was infested, endemic in Pakistan. As we gave people polio shots, the vaccination, as we measured the fecal matter in sewage, the virus went away. So we knew that there wasn't any more virus in the population. So how are you going to know that COVID-19 is going to be over? Is when we measure the sewage and there's no viruses in the sewage. And so to your question about testing, contact tracing by definition is that you're infected, Dr. Taylor. You came from whatever. And you get on a plane, you affect a bunch of people, you go to your doctor, hey man, you're COVID-19. Maybe you're a carrier, super carrier. And they're going to go back and they're going to trace everybody that you get in contact with, because you can infect 5.7 people. And they're going to go, and these 5.7 people can infect 5.7 more people. And that's how you do. So contact tracing allows us to find out who's the patient zero. You might be patient zero. We might have to isolate you, quarantine you, put you on a military base, so you're not out there affecting other people. So contact tracing gives us the ability to track whoever's patient zero to contain the infection, and that becomes part of the containment is contact tracing.
All right. Wow, I'm telling you, it's a lot to take in, my brother. I don't know how you got all that going on, but I guess experience is a dear school. Now I got a good one for you. Why are people of color so disproportionately affected?
Well, if we know American history, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because
Please don't.
They've been experimenting on black people for 400 years. And what do I mean? We can talk about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. We can talk about them irradiating black people in Ohio. We can talk about them giving black kids, heart medication in New York City, operating on slaves, killing slaves, put them in the anatomy labs. Under the Medical College of Georgia, they found 10,000 black bodies. That's a fact. And this is what they've done to us. And so people, my grandmother who couldn't read, everybody was scared of the night watchman in Louisiana. Black kids would be walking down the street at night and they get kidnapped. Well, they found them in anatomy lab. Alabama. This is history. And so when we talk about why blacks and minorities have a problem, well, we don't trust the healthcare system. We call it healthcare disparities. And it's really not a disparity. It's just we don't trust the system. because the system's never done us right. And so, for example, you get sick with COVID-19 and you go to the hospital and you have all the signs and symptoms: fever, coughing, diarrhea, shortness of breath, and they won't do a test on you. They tell you to go home and self-quarantine. And guess what? 5 days later, you got a fever, or we find your body in the house and you go back to the hospital and you're already got a saturation of about 75, breathing barely, and they put you on a ventilator, and 85% of the people die on ventilators. But the white person goes in and they get the test. They know they're positive. So it's a different plan. So healthcare disparity is really healthcare discrimination, because if they treat everybody fairly, everybody should be getting a test, and not, you can read, it's not me saying this, you can read in the paper. Nurses work in hospital for 35, they went there 4 times and they couldn't get the test and they died. The frontline workers are the minorities, the Mexicans, Americans that are on the farms picking your fruit. They're the blacks that are driving the bus, working at Walmart. They should be getting the test, but they're not getting the test. And so when we talk about black people, and they use this excuse, and it's an excuse. They got diabetes, they got high blood pressure, all these other things. Well, guess what? White people got diabetes and they got high blood pressure. Indians have diabetes and high blood pressure. Asian Americans have high blood pressure and diabetes. The point is that we do not get seen as first on the line. We don't get into the system. But I can promise you this, folks out there, there won't be a vaccine. It's not going to happen. The virus is changing too much, so you guys might as well forget that one. This is Dr. Rowland telling you the truth, not the Mickey Mouse version, but they're going to come up with a vaccine. It's not going to work, just like the flu shot doesn't work. And they're going to tell all you black people, come down there and get injected so we can find out what happened to you, and then they're going to write papers about you. My point on this one, you better be the last person to get that injection. Have Trump get his kids injected. Have Bill Gates people, have them white doctors in France and England. Don't take that to Africa. You inject all the white kids in France and UK, and the white kids in the Hamptons, and let's see what happens.
Gotcha. Wow.
Then you go and get the shot after you see what the results are.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is good stuff, folks. If you all have just joined, I'm Dr. Franco Taylor here on the Right Stuff Helps program. We're bringing the right stuff, and we got the right stuff man himself, Dr. Lane Rolling, and he's giving us the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on infectious diseases, viruses, and even this COVID-19. So, again, I want to take a moment here just to say that Dr. Rolling completed his residency and his internship in foot and ankle surgery at Tripler Army Medical Center in Honolulu, Hawaii, and served in the United States Army for 4 years active duty and 2 years reserve. Now, let's listen to some military qualifications. Combat Casualty Care course, Advanced Trauma Life Support, Advanced Cardiac Life Support, Medical Management of Chemical and Biological Warfare. Folks, are you listening to me? Patient course there. In the military, he was actually an airborne Pathfinder, Recon, U.S. Army Master Fitness Trainer, and Scuba Qualified. I'm talking about this brother, airlines, sea and air, whatever. He's done it all. He's been there. And so he's got qualifications that I'm hoping that you all are not just looking and listening and moving on and realizing that we needed facts. We're getting facts. This is not Mickey Mouse, like he says. This is not conjecture. This is not theory. Are y'all listening? This is scientifically done. And he's done enough scientific training and been around enough of these situations to know this is the real deal, folks. So now, here's the question that I'm going to ask you now. Again, we said about the vaccines, but now I'm going to ask you this. Reopening of America. What do you say? I mean, is it too late? Is it too soon? Where are we? Are we safe? I mean, what's the deal? I know you've kind of touched on it, but what's the deal? What's the deal?
Well, the reality is that we have to get back the economy. And so people have to get back into a normal sense of being. But folks, we're not going to back what it was 6 years ago or 6 months ago or 6 weeks ago. The new normalcy is over. It's new. You're not going to be shaking people's hands in the future. When we talk about opening the system, the society, you have to have a stepwise, what we call biosafety and biosecurity protocols. I'm on a counterintelligence worldwide unit that fights foreign and domestic individuals. I'm the chief medical officer for this unit. And we tell people that you have to have systems in place. Kids go back to school, you better have some biosecurity protocols, i.e., you better have a full body decontamination unit in front of your school so all the kids are decontaminated before they go into the school. You better have a hand washing protocol that everybody follows. You better make sure you have the right technology because biosecurity and biosafety is done in layers. So when we're talking about, okay, go back to the football game, the stadium, these people on the beaches right now, not practicing any biosecurity, any social behaviors, but wearing masks and washing their hands at these bars. And, I told you fingers and feces are on these credit cards and money. Ball game over with. In 2 weeks, you're going to see what I'm talking about. You can look at the numbers now. Every week, these states that open up, there are thousands of cases. Texas is going to be shut down in about 6 weeks. And what are you going to say? What's the excuse? We didn't know? You can't argue with the science. You cannot argue with the medicine. And a prime example for all the people that are listening, look what Sweden did. Sweden was supposed to be this frontline, educated, white society. And they told the people, no quarantine. And guess what's happened today? That country's got shut down because people are dying. They don't got enough body bags for everybody. And they're saying it was a mistake. They should have done quarantine so they could catch up and be ready. And so you go open this economy up and they don't have protocols and procedures, there are going to be a lot of hurt people. And who are you going to sue? You work at Denny's. You work at Waffle House. Get your butt back to work. What happens when you get infected in that place and they don't have any biosecurity protocols? Who are you going to sue? What's the excuse? Especially if you get put in a body bag. They're going to zip that bad boy up and you're going to be a footnote. Life's going to move on. So you better protect yourself and have what we call situational awareness about where you're going. And really, do you really trust your government? Do they really have public policies or is all politics? And what's happening with this disease, they made it into politics. And that's killed a lot of people.
Wow. Folks, if you have just joined, this is Dr. Franco Taylor here on the Right Stuff Helps program. And we've got Dr. Lane rolling with us, one of the top virologists in the world, infectious disease man. I'm about to call him Dr. Man. I mean, to the rescue because he's got it going on, folks. And we're getting the truth. We're getting it straight, uncut, no mixture, just the straight, real deal. And I love it, love it, love it. Now, I know a lot of these questions are kind of overlapping, Dr. Rowling, but the question I have, is there a protocol that doctors are using or advising their patients about this COVID? And do you find that the doctors are being effective at all in they're handling the pandemic? And if so, what should they be doing, the doctors, to their clients?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's all over the board. I think these doctors are scared. They really do not understand infectious diseases. I told you earlier, I've had 18 of my friends die within the last week. It's on my Facebook, the names, the pictures. Doctors' mothers have died. We're down from 58 doctors down to 4 now, and they do not understand viruses. And you look at CNN and Fox, you got these pundits on there, and they're just pundits. They've never been in the jungles. I've never seen them in the jungles. I've never seen them in my BSL-4 lab in Fort Detrick, Maryland for biological warfare. I've never seen them in Germany. So these people got all these opinions and they just got people confused. And that's one of the reasons why they end up putting me on the National COVID Healthcare Task Force for COVID-19, the National Black Caucus, because they wanted Dr. Rowland to tell the truth to our people. They want to keep it real. Because black folks, you look at CNN and Fox, all you see is a bunch of white people talking. They damn sure ain't talking about us. So the bottom line at the end of the day, I don't think so. And because they scared. They're not trained in this stuff. And it's nothing heroic about viruses, trying to treat viruses if you don't know what you're dealing with, looking at. And I guarantee you, just like the nursing home, hospitals are contaminated with COVID-19. You got to be careful going to the hospital because they're going to be infected. The doctors, are they testing the doctors every day? Every day testing the doctors because there's 40 different strains out there. One day you could be positive and then you get better and then re-affected again, like what's happening on the aircraft carriers. Maybe one day you're negative at the job and you go walk out the door and you turn positive. Everybody in America from the future on is not one test, Dr. Taylor. You're going to have maybe 9, 10 tests a year for COVID-19 moving in the future. Because I don't want you at Chuck E. Cheese or Pizza Hut, and I bring my grandchildren there, and you're infected, and you infected my children because you got to work. Man, I want to see your certificate that says you're COVID-19 negative. So you're exposing people, just like the bus driver in Detroit. He's on the bus, lady in the back, coughing her head off, not doing anything, being nasty. And you guys all said that. He was dead within 10 days. This is not a game.
Wow, it surely isn't. So looking at what we've been talking about up to this point, individuals, what should each individual do? I mean, as your father in your house, husband, you're in the house. What should you do in your house, in your family, in your circle?
Well, in your family, in your house, you need to make sure that you have the best security protocols that you can have for your family. So your family comes from the outside in. First thing, man, take them damn shoes off. Second thing, you better be washing your hands, on a regular basis. Sometimes I wash my hands 15, 30 times a day. And what people need to do is call Save Hands, Save Lives, and get Dr. Rowland's antiseptic wash. And the number for that is, Dr. Taylor, write the number down so you can give this to your people, is 443-457-8233. Let me repeat this again. 443-457-8233. And people, you need to call and put your order in because we're going to run out when the second wave comes in the next 3 weeks. Because just like when this thing started, you couldn't find toilet paper. You couldn't find alcohol. You couldn't find stuff at the grocery stores. Call my people and say, I need this stuff. And put your order in because when the second wave comes, there ain't going to be none of this stuff. Period. End of story. Wash your hands. And we also have pediatric antiseptic hand wash for children. And we're going to talk about Uncle Kuski at the end of the
We're going to do that. Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Make sure that you have a good air filtration unit in your house because COVID-19 is in the air. And that air filtration unit has to have the ability to kill coronavirus, influenza in the air. You're going to make sure that you use the bathroom. Somebody's in your house is infected. You need to, and it's very difficult because of our people. One of the things when they put me on a COVID-19 healthcare task force with G.A. Carmichael, chairman out of Tennessee, said, Dr. Rowland, Black people do not understand we're going to be destroyed, just like HIV, because people are going to lose their house. They're going to get these employment checks. There ain't going to be no jobs. Education, Blacks are going to be further back in the education because what's happening now, we're going to be behind the 8 ball. So we have to protect our people. We're going to have to pick ourselves up by our bootstrap because the bus has already left. And so we need to make sure that we're in there doing these protocols. You have somebody, so in a family that has 9 people, maybe 3 generations living in one house, and grandmother, somebody's infected, you better do, and there's no way you're going to social distance. It's impossible. Air filtration unit, mask, making sure the toilets are clean, shoes are not there, air filtration units, surface disinfectant, wiping things down every day, being smart, being proactive. You get sick, you get the symptoms, you get into the hospital and don't wait. If your child gets sick and they have a fever for 5 days, red tongue, red eyes, lips are cracked, rash on their bodies is hurting, legs are hurting, you need to take them to the doctor right then because they have that pediatric multi-inflammatory syndrome of what we call Kawasaki. That's how you protect yourself and layer yourself in this. You get food from the store. Make sure that you're disinfecting the outside of it. Make sure you cook that food, that beef, that pork, because the chicken plants are infected. The pork plants are infected. The beef plants are infected. You see this, Smithfields,
Yeah.
all these places. So these people are sick. Viruses are landing on the meat, and they wrap it up and they put it and they freeze it. Well, folks, freezing does not kill viruses. Puts them to sleep. And then when you get home and you open it and you thaw it out, you touch that, you can put that in your eyeball. Wash your hands. Make sure that you cook that food thoroughly, or you're going to be like the bat syndrome.
Wow.
That bat, that virus is going to jump from that steak, going to jump from that chicken, jump from that pork, that bacon into you. So make sure your food is cooked. Well done, not medium rare, not rare. It better be cooked through, just like we do for salmonella for chicken, like we do for E. coli for hamburgers. So this is good, common type of sense stuff.
Very good. Wow, wow, wow. This is just the information is so powerful. It's almost incomprehensible, but it's real, and we can see it, and we know it works. But it's horrific to see that we're actually in a serious situation, a death-defying situation. And so, I guess at this point, I'd like to go back to how we met. I have been doing what I've been doing for over 40 years. I've worked with lose weight, gain weight, high blood, diabetes, cancer, full-blown AIDS, and never healed anybody. But I spent all my time, Dr. Rowling, helping them to understand that if they would just work with their bodies, give their immune systems what they need, if eat lots of live foods, fruits and vegetables, drink their water, get their just do the things to help God's body do what it was designed to do, which was to heal itself. Then when I got through talking to you and looking at your stuff and researching you, all the stuff you've seen, the stuff that I thought I'd seen just paled into nowhereness. So I prayed that God would send a formula. I have formulas myself. I have 12 products. 8 of them are liquid, so they're 98% absorbable. But absorbable is the key. If the person wasn't eating right, drinking right, their body would get clogged up and it couldn't even use good stuff. So what do we do? I prayed that a company would come along with its millions and billions and just make formulas that would help the body heal itself. And I found that. I found that in a company called Sankey. And they had one product in particular called Balage that literally had paper proving that it had efficacy against virus. So then I said, well, who can I take this to? Somebody's got to make me know that it's really real. And when I saw you and your daughter having a good time in an interview, I said, let me check this dude out. And I did. I checked you, man. I went all over the place. And everything, the closer I got to you, the taller you got. I said, this dude's about 18 feet tall. So let me tell you, I did this, people. And he'll tell you that I did this. I searched him out. And there was no number for him, so I simply sent him a message and said, look, I'd like for you, since I think you're the guru, I'd like for you to look at a product, a formula that I think is powerful for the immune system. And he didn't mix his words. He simply said 5 words, send me the white paper. Now, y'all might not know what that means, so I'm going to ask you, Dr. Rowland, tell them what the white paper is and why it's important when we're talking about things like this.
When we talk about white papers, individuals need to understand the white paper is the science behind something that works or does not work. When people are touting, the malaria medication, they're talking, that it works. Well, show me the white paper that it works against the virus. If they're telling me that remdesivir works against, show me the science behind it. Because if you know the science, you understand the medicine. If you understand the medicine, you have to know the science. And we believe in science. I don't believe in Mickey Mouse theories. I don't believe in conspiracy. I believe in the facts. So when you sent me the white paper, I read it. The science is 100%. I believe in it. And I looked up and studied it, and I started taking, Balage myself. And, it's what we have to have. To have in this day and age of this pandemic, you have to have a nutritional supplement to give you more energy for your body, for your immune system to be able to help fight off infections. And that's nutrition. That's the bottom line. Are you going to be able to, take some magical pill and it's going to turn your immune system on? You can take Bilage. It's going to give you more energy to make your immune system more effective in fighting infections. And that's what it's about. And so that's the reality. That's what white papers do. And I believe in science. That's what makes me who I am. I don't believe in Mickey Mouse. I don't believe in Snow White, and I damn sure don't believe in the seven dwarfs. I believe in science.
Praise God. Well, we appreciate you so much for all the information you've given us, and I'm definitely looking forward already. I'm claiming you're coming back in another 2 or 3 weeks or so, because as this thing goes forward, I'm serious. We need you back, brother. Whatever we have to do. If I had to fly a Lear jet out there and I don't know how to fly one, I'll come get you and bring you back. But the key, because hopefully things will be opened up a little bit by then. So we thank you for your candid.
Doing is good, Dr. Taylor, and I like you being proactive, and you have a good personality, and you're motivated, and I can feel and see the compassion in you trying to help people, and that's who I am. I mean, I don't care what people think about me. I mean, there are so many people out there who really are full of it, and it takes a lot of person to have character, compassion, to work for God, and you become God's right hand. That's who I am. He put me on this earth to carry babies' crosses, and I'm big enough and strong enough to do it. Even though I got a bad knee and I got a bad back, I can walk that mountain. I'm gonna get to the top with my people, and that's what my job is. And that's why I sleep great at nighttime. And I want to talk to you before I go about what we're trying to do for you.
We want to
Yeah.
do that. So that's where we're coming to now. And folks, I will make sure that you can see where you can go, link where you can go and find out about the Sankey formula, especially the Belage, and
Yeah.
find out more about it and get your hands on it. Because right about now, you need to do something, not yesterday. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you, if you don't get a Belage, folks, this is part of your biosecurity protocols. This is going to help save your life, because we got a long ways to go, at least another 3 years. So you need to make sure you're doing the best nutritional thing, a supplement that you can have. And this is coming from Dr. Rowland, period. And I'm on the COVID-19 healthcare task force.
Wow. Well, that's tight enough for me. Now, back to you, sir. You've got some things going on. Tepeta, I'm saying Tepeta. I hope I'm saying it close to being the right thing. You got a boot camp that you're doing over there, so I'm going to make sure we got information up where they can get in touch with you about that. But is there anything you want to say about that boot camp?
Well, Tepeta is a tropical pathology infectious disease associate where I'm the director of clinical and educational. And this is a program. We have 2 programs down in Peru and 1 in Germany, and where students can come, or people can come and train with me in the hospitals and see diseases in real time and give back to humanity. So we have a basic course in infectious diseases, and then we have an advanced course in what we call molecular medicine in the diagnosis of infectious diseases. So we know about PCR, we know about antibody tests. So we teach students that. And then we have a master virology course in Germany. And you go there and you spend 5 days with the top virologists in the world learning about viruses. And I'm one of them, from Ebola to Mars, influenza. So you get a hands-on how to put the BSL uniform on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Dr. Taylor.
All right, that's deep. Now you've got a fundraiser going on. Everything that you do, again, compassion. That's why I asked you that question first. To just sink in my mind and to just anchor the fact that you are compassionate. So now this fundraiser, tell us about this fundraiser. What is it for?
Well, we have a fundraiser where we're trying to raise money for the doctors that are dying in Peru as we speak right now. They have no medicine. They have no oxygen tank. The system has collapsed. You can read the papers of what's happening in Peru, Brazil, Ecuador. Bodies are stacked on the streets. I mean, doctors are in plastic body bags, trash bags. No medicine, nothing. So this is what's coming to the United States, folks. So you need to get ready. So we're raising money to help support the doctors that are died, their families, and to make sure that we can get medications to the individual doctors so they can survive this pandemic. Because at the rate we're going, in 1 month, there aren't going to be any doctors.
Wow.
So I'm gonna have to go down there and train the next residents and interns. I'm going to be the guy, the Lone Ranger on the horse with Tonto, going to rescue people and picking up the pieces.
Okay, and hopefully you'll be drinking your Belage so you can stay tough,
Oh,
man.
I want you to give me some of that because I want to take that to the native people that live in the jungles. These people
Very
living
good.
there for 5,000 years. They speak a different dialect. They're dying. So hell yeah,
All
give me
right.
some. Take it to the give it to the native people. You can take pictures of that. That's giving back. That's being a global citizen. That's global responsibility, picking up your fellow man, even though you don't speak the same language. It's beautiful.
That's deep.
How can you argue? How can you argue with that, man?
Can't, can't. Well, that's powerful. Now, last on the list is something that had me giggling when I saw it. Man, I saw this little dude look like a reverse Jiminy Cricket. I said, what is that? And his name is Uncle Kutsi, I believe it is. Tell us
Yeah.
about that because that touches me. I have 9 children. I helped deliver the first 3, and I delivered the last 4 at home. I have literally, out of my 9 children, 7 of them I've been blessed to actually homeschool them. So I love children. I probably have about 60 or 70 individuals in 40 years that I have just picked up and mentored, male and female. I love children, giving them what they're not getting. And so that's what I'm hearing here. Tell us about Uncle Kutsi.
Uncle Kuski is your all of us long lost uncle. He is a mosquito with a big belly. He has his top hat on his cane. He has his tennis shoes and his great smile. He's a dapper. But Kuski's responsibility is to teach the kids on how to wash their hands because nobody in the world is talking to children. They're talking to adults. They have programs for adults. So Uncle Kusi's responsibility is to tell our kids and teach our kids about the pandemic in their language, teach them how to wash their hands in their language, and become their friend during this pandemic. And when people order our stuff, our Safe Hands, Safe Lives, we have pediatric Uncle Kusi antiseptic wash, and people can call and get it at 443-457-8233. And when you get that antiseptic wash for yourself, you get you some for your babies because babies and kids fecal matter. And this is going to take care of the bacterial, fungus, and also viruses, and it lasts 24 hours. And so Uncle Kuski is going to teach the kids how to wash their hands. And wait till you see the cartoon. And I'm giving a talk to the island of Hawaii in 2 weeks to all the kids in Hawaii about Uncle Kuski.
Watch out, Walt Disney.
Oh yeah, Mickey Mouse don't got anything on Uncle Kuski. He
I
got
hear
the
you.
cane.
Yeah, 'cause he
He's a
cool.
damn.
He cool.
He's
He's
he's a
cool.
damn.
Oh
Please share
wow.
that. Please share the character with all the people you know. I want them to know who he is because he is responsibility that me and you can't do, Dr. Tiller. He's talking the kids'
He's talking
language.
to him. He's talking what they'll hear. That's right. Uh, Now we want you to make sure you understand that Dr. Lane Rowling is in. He's available for speaking engagements, radio and TV programs, just wherever you want him to be to get this information out. Be sure to contact him. Now I'll put the information up. The Tipeta. I think the information that you have on that, I'll put that up for him. I guess it says here, Marisco Gambriel.
You can go to the website www.tpida.org and they can hit the contact page and they'll send me an email if they want me to talk or if they're looking for information. It'll go to my email and they can directly contact you, Dr. Taylor, because
Okay.
you have access.
Yeah, I'll make
So
sure.
you can be the buffer and make sure that people that are legitimate, they really want to talk to me, they can go to you because I'm so busy in my time. So I got to make sure my time is maxed to the benefit because our job is to save people's lives through this pandemic.
All right. Well, folks, like I always say, it's a plum pleasing pleasure being here with you, and this has been just a powerful situation for me. You've just kind of turned my heart around as to, every now and then you get to I've been doing this 40 years, and you wonder if people are paying attention. You wonder if the system cares, and you're beating your head trying to help folks down on the bottom, and nobody's giving them education. Well, they're giving them miseducation, and folks are just walking around just looking up and they don't know what to do. And then Dr. Lane Rowland comes along, and it helps me to realize that it ain't over yet. So we're going to battle this thing, and we just lock arms together. It's just me and you, Doc. We going for it. And
Doctor, you set it up for. I'll come back in 3 weeks, and I'll give the. That's what I do. I give updates, and I guarantee you, the information is going to be different in 3 weeks. In fact, we might be in the second wave, and you're going to see the numbers. You thought New York was bad, New York going to be reinfected again, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. This is not a game. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And people going to these house parties and bumping and grinding and stuff. Well, when you're in a body bags are cheap. You ain't grinding and bumping on anybody. You're going to be a footnote. So you better listen to us.
All right, folks. Well, you heard it from the guru himself, Dr. Lane Rowland. This coronavirus, this COVID-19 is serious, serious business. And you heard it. I hope you took this serious. Hope you listened. Hope you took notes, copious notes, so that you can protect your family, you can protect your friends, and even strangers. You can pass this on. This is good info. It's facts. It's real. It's scientific. And it's even commonsensical. That's my word. So, folks, I'm saying again, this is Dr. Franco Taylor. Again, I'll make sure you can get the information on getting the Sankey Proctor, the Lodge, and all the information on Dr. Rowling. You'll be able to get that. And like I always say, until next time, this is Dr. Franco Taylor saying, I love you, and may God bless.